So here we are, Monday night, and I think we've broken a record. I think this is the latest accountability call I've ever done, and it's all my fault. Good reason, though. I was out tonight actually doing a little bit of training, coaching some people on how to invite using the 5 little guidelines that we use. And one of the guys said, okay, I'm going to try it right now. And he was successful. So off we went to a business presentation right there and then. So that took me a little late, and that presentation went on a little longer. And so here we are. It's now 11:42 at night, and so this is a record. So regional consultant Frank Schindler, congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. I so appreciate that. I felt like I was going to fall asleep here, but I stay up late anyway, so it's not a problem.
Trust me, most people fall asleep when they listen to me talk anyway, so it'll be nothing new.
Wow. So, well, what an exciting day.
It has. Actually, it's been a super long day. It's been a great day. I've had a couple of people join the business, and the training went really well.
Wonderful.
Today. And yeah, and you know what it's like when you get some momentum in your business. It's really exciting. You know, I like everybody, you know, we have there's momentum, and then there's times when it quietens down a little bit. And you kind of you go with the flow. I don't know if you find the same thing, Frank.
Oh, I do. Absolutely do. And, you know, you have your ups and down moments. And, you know, I had a couple of myself today, and, you know, some family issues that came up and some other things. But, you know, all in all, I think it's just focusing on what you have to do. And just being accountable to you, that's scary enough. I don't want to end up in jail.
Yeah, and trust me, there is jail. I don't put on it's jail. It's jail time. That's how it is. But it's like our CEO Jerry says. He says, keep the main thing the main thing, and that's what we do. You know, it's about gathering customers and recruiting consultants. And the way to do that is to make sure that you've got 100 people who are going to be listening to this recording waiting for you to report in. So that was accountability in a big way, my friend.
Well, yeah, and it got really scary a couple of times because I thought, oh, no, I don't have a lot to talk about. But all of a sudden things started coming together about 8 o'clock. And so we're really excited about how the day turned out.
Okay, so let me know. So let me know just about how your calls went, and what about the day kind of held you up and made things go wrong? Because again, that makes it very real for people.
Well, one of the things that I do is I maybe overcalculate things, and when I'm thinking about you know, who to call and what's a proper time to call and all of that, and so it's been sort of my daily MO to figure out what person is available, like in the morning or in the middle of the afternoon or even later on in the evening. So I kind of judged myself according to that. So I went down my list that we talked about last night on the call, and actually sprung off to one side or the other a little bit because I had a couple other people that I really needed to follow up on, and it turned out really well.
Okay, I want to hear all about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, the first one we talked about last night was Rod, and so I gave, and this has been, I don't know if it's a problem with everybody else, but I have these voicemail things. I wish they'd never invented them. I mean, sometimes it's you never, you know, you got these voicemails and you're always hoping they'll call you back. So I started using a technique that this guy taught me. His name is Richard Laidler. And so he showed me how to do basically four voicemail calls, and it absolutely works. I'm telling you, it works. And so the first one was a Rod, and I left a message. In fact, I logged my time at 3:42 this afternoon and left a voicemail and just said, hey, this is Frank, need to talk to you. It's important, and call me. At about a little while later, I called him again, and I said, hey, it's Frank. It's really important. Get back to me. By golly, about 8 o'clock, he calls me. And so this is actually, Richard, he was a follow-up on about the one that I did 6 months ago. Do you remember?
I remember it well. I'm fascinated to hear how this went.
Yeah. Well, and here was the problem, and I think this is really, really cool because one of the lessons I learned was that you really, really need to get husbands and wives together because a wife will shoot down a husband will shoot down a wife, and that's exactly what happened on this situation. He was all excited 6 months ago when we did this presentation, and went home, and I said, "Well, I'll call you," and I called him a day later and didn't respond. And by Thursday, he called and said, well, his wife was not real happy and decided, well, this wasn't for them. So he backed out. Well, today I just went with, and I rewrote the script. Basically, I just told him how, that I talked to him 6 months ago and that there were some changes that had taken place in my life that we had promoted. That there were some changes in Ambit, and we were now going international, and I knew that there would probably be some changes in his life as well. And so about that time, I said, it's really was unfair of me that I did not include your wife in the presentation, and I need to apologize for that. At which time he said, very good. Well, at which time he said, would you hold on? I want to put her on the line. She's right here. Well, I started getting the heebie-jeebies and getting scared. I thought, oh, no, now I got to answer to the case, So she got on the line, and I said, I apologize. I really do. I said, I don't even know your name. And she told me your name, and I said, it's really fun to meet you. And I said, I really do apologize because I shared this wonderful story with Rod, but I didn't share it with you. And I said, I really would like to do that. I want you to take a look at this. I said, my wife and I are basically, we're trying to build a residual income, and it's working for us. And she started giving me all the objections. She tried this thing and that and cost her a lot of money in this multi-level marketing thing and that deal. And she mentioned another energy company, and she said, I'm just really not interested. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, this is really different, and I think that if you just take a look and let's set up a time when we can do that. And this is what I actually did. I said, because I had already scheduled an appointment at 7:30, and I'll get to that in a minute. I said, does 6:30 sound good? And I have a place open at 8:15. What works better for you? And she said, 8:15 tomorrow. I said, great.
Awesome.
So I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I learned from the best. Well, and honestly, listen, everybody that's listening on this call, it felt so good to be able to overcome her objection because she was not happy for about a few minutes. And I said, look, this is so important that you really need to take another look. You need to take a look at this. And I went ahead and first of all, she said this, Richard, this was really interesting. She said, I'll have my husband call you tomorrow. I said, no, that's not going to work for me. And I said, I do have a space open at that 6:30 or 8:15. I do have another conference call in between there, and I'll be happy to put you in there. And so that's exactly what happened. And we smiled as we said goodbye, and I said, looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. And she was just happy as a lark. So anyway, that was Rod's story. So
okay.
How did I do?
I got some comments on that. For as tough as I was on you yesterday,
do we have any thumbs up?
Yeah, that's right. Do we get any thumbs up on these? I'll get a bunch of texts on my phone tomorrow with all these thumbs up, and I'll be like, "What is this all about?" And of course, it will be because they're, of course, listening to the recording. I've nothing but gushing praise, my friend. I couldn't be more happy with how you dealt with that. You dealt with it perfectly. You talked about the change, what's changed in 6 months, absolutely perfect. You then apologized for not including his wife, which was exactly what we talked about. Absolutely perfect. She came on the line, and you did the same thing again with her. Showed complete vulnerability. It shows you're not a sharp sales guy or whatever. She came out with her concerns, and everybody has the right to do that. And sometimes, and I'm sure as a pastor, exactly to just sit and listen. Just let her get it off her chest. Because in many cases, you just need to kind of let people rant and go, yeah, no, I understand. and just be like really acknowledging them and saying, yeah, I understand, letting them know you hear them, because sometimes a lot of people are not being heard when they say these things. And so I know you did a great job with that. Then she had her concern.
Well, yeah. Well, there was one other thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was I actually, Richard, I actually did, after the apology and everything, and I was just, I truly said, that I was sorry that, this was, and I think that's really, really important that you be honest with people and just straight out, just tell them the way it is. And I had another experience similar to that on another call tonight too. But anyway, that was it. And we are scheduled tomorrow. I do need to get a 3-way on that set up, and we'll look forward to helping make that decision, or helping them to make that decision. So, okay.
Great job. Yeah, great job. That was absolutely bang on. So good for you. Well done.
Okay, so the next, and this was like one after another, where I called people. I called Zach. I got a voicemail. Again, did the same exact thing. I called him about 3:40, and called him again later this evening about 7:30, and again left the same message. And so tomorrow when I call him, I will say, hey, I hope you're okay. Hope things are all right, and so give me a call. And then on the if he doesn't respond, then again, I will basically take it away from him. And so that's kind of what you were taught me, and it feels so good and so right to be in that position. So yeah, that was Zach. So we didn't make contact there. I called my nephew in Maryland.
Just one second, Frank.
Okay, go ahead.
Because there's we're trying to do two things here. Is first of all, I want to be your accountability partner, but at the same time, I'm also want to make sure we coach the folks who are listening in on the call. And I just wanted to let you know there was a lot of new people yesterday on the call. And so when Frank is talking about the 4 calls, it's when you keep bumping into voicemail. And the first call is, hey, this is Frank. I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but if you can give me a call back, that would be. I've got something I need to talk to you about. The second call, same day, is, hey, left a message for you earlier on, didn't hear back. Got something I need to talk to you about, fairly important, so give me a call when you get a chance. And then you leave it. 2 calls on one day is perfectly fine. The next day, and this is the third and fourth call that Frank was talking about, where he says, listen, I left you a couple of messages yesterday and I didn't hear from you. Is everything okay? And we throw that in to kind of guilt them into calling you back, because gosh darn it, they should call you back. If you're leaving people messages, they should call you back. And so you said, I hope everything's okay. Please give me a call as soon as you get this. And then the fourth call is the takeaway, which is the one Frank's just talking about, which is, hey, Frank, I left you like 2 or 3 messages over the last couple of days. I think you must be out of town, because obviously you're not calling me back so far. And also, I don't want this to be awkward. So this is going to be the last time I call you about this. So, but when you get an opportunity, if you get this message, by all means, call me back. And the reason why we do it that way is for a couple of reasons. Number one is to maintain your power. Most people leave business because they either don't do what they're supposed to be doing, or they get rejection. And part of rejection is people slowly nibbling away at your power. And that is by not returning your calls. If you keep calling and keep calling and keep calling, you're giving them your power and you're losing that power. And so we want to stop that and cut that off as quickly as possible. And then there's so we stop it, but then we actually get the power back by saying, dude, this is the last time I'm calling you. And it's a wonderful way. Boom, you got it all back, straight into the chest, all this power back, so you can be ready for your next call. But we just put them on a drip list and call them back within about 2 to 3 months. And then the last thing that we try to achieve is to clear that name from our list, so we've got room for a new name next week. Because we don't want that same name coming up every week and stopping you calling someone new. So I just wanted to quickly explain what that 4-call process is. And Frank, like you, it works like a treat for me every time. It really does. Well, not every time, but it works a lot more than if you didn't do that 4-call process. I'm very happy with it.
Well, and Richard, let me tell you that that takes the pressure off of a person when you can do that. And you said it so well. You just you don't want people to take that power away from you, because it feels terrible, and it's all part of the rejection, from what I can understand. And why aren't they calling me back? And we live in a culture now, Richard, that texting is like everything. And you text people at a restaurant and they're right across the table from you. Silly stuff like that. So to get a phone call, I think is absolutely rare. And I think it's important, because you'd like to hear their voice and hear their emotions, and so that's why we do this. I think it works, and I think it works well.
Yeah, no question. And that third call is very powerful, where it says, is everything okay? I'm a bit worried about you. I don't mind guilting people into listening to what I've got to say, and I am worried about them. If they haven't called me back, I'm like,
absolutely,
is everything okay? Yeah. It's perfectly genuine. All right, so
it really is.
You've used that.
Okay.
I'm glad it's working out for you on that one. That's really good. Okay, so Zach is. We've got one more call for him tomorrow. All right. What did you manage to get any other calls done? Okay.
Oh yes, I mean I worked quite a bit on this. I did call. I started to tell you I have my nephew Paul was not on my list that we did last night, but I was going through some old bills that I have on record, and I realized again that my nephew's in Maryland, and so it costs him nothing to be our customer, and so he knows that my son is one of our customers. So I called and I left that first message with him. Now this was at 6 o'clock, and so of course I got busy with other things. But I will call him tomorrow, and I will leave that second message with him as well. And by the third message, I'm sure he'll be calling me. So anyway,
great job.
That was that one. We again going through the list. I went past what we did last night. I realized that Jay that we talked about, the owner of the funeral home. I went to work today, and they are out of town along with one of the other prospects that I have on my list, his sister. And they are out of town for spring break, so I'm putting them on my list for next week, and to be able to do that one. I have another pastor friend of mine that's his name is Chris. These are some we didn't talk about, but they were on my 10 list. And again, left a message with Chris. So go ahead.
No, that's great. That's great. I'm just listening to you.
Okay. The fifth one was Misty, who is actually on my ministry board, and I have attempted to get a hold of her on several occasions. We had her actually scheduled for a look at our website, and she overbooked herself, and so that was about 2 weeks ago. So I've been trying to connect with her. So I left her that first message about 7:50 tonight, and I will follow up with her tomorrow, and we'll go through that process. So, okay?
Good.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good
well, I'm still going. I've still got more.
Oh, man. How about I?
No, I've got about 3-4 more. So,
okay.
This was Marcus that these were on the list. I just went on down my list because I want to talk to people. So if I'm not talking to them, I'm not doing any good. So Marcus is a man that I met at my auto mechanic one day, just off the cuff. Just saw a sweet spirit, great guy. Invited him out for lunch, and we met the next day. This has been a couple of months ago. I told him I wanted him to take a look at something. I actually sent him the video tracker, and he looked at it immediately. But this dear fellow recruits in colleges all over the place, so he's home very little. So for me to catch him is extremely difficult. So I left him a voicemail. He will get back to me. He's a man of integrity, and I appreciate that. The last one that I want to talk about is a fella that and this is really I'm going to show myself here right now. So here we go. His name is OCL. He was not on my list last night, but I have him on my board here in my office. I have a whiteboard with all the people I'm working on. And so OCL was a fella that I just skipped over the business. And guys, listen to me. This is the dumbest thing I could ever have done. I actually didn't even give him the opportunity to really look at the business. I just went right for a customer, and that was dumb. So here's what I did. I called him a week or so ago. He was supposed to send me a copy of his bill. He did not, and so I felt really bad. Didn't want to nail him, but felt like, you know what? You told me you were going to do it, and you didn't do it. So tonight I got my courage up, and I called him, and I said, OCL, it's Frank. I owe you an apology. I really, really messed up with you. I didn't give you a chance to look at what I was doing. Would you be available tomorrow to get in front of your computer? We can do it that way. It's simpler. And simply look at what I'm doing, and then you can understand where I'm coming from. He said, absolutely. I said, this is funny. He said, I said, is 7 good, or would 8 work better? And he said, no, 7:30. And I started laughing. We both started laughing. So we've set him up for a look-see. He's a great guy, and we've known. He actually worked for me several years ago, and so he was just very accommodating. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with him tomorrow night. So I have back-to-back presentations from 7:30 to about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and that was pretty much my day. Other than the fact that I went out and did a bid for my carpet cleaning company that was rather huge, and so we were really blessed with that one. Anyway, there we go.
Well, that's a good day. That's a highly productive day, and for those of you listening on the call, that is, I'm not going to say overly productive, because we need to do what we need to do, but that's setting the bar really high. You don't have to do as much as that. I'm delighted that Frank did, and I think obviously, you're pretty passionate about, getting this stuff done, Frank, and I appreciate that. But for those of you out there who are thinking, my gosh, I don't have time for all of that, don't worry. All we're looking to do is to really try to get to a couple of invites. Now, there are a few voicemails in there, which wouldn't have taken Frank very long to do. But just bear in mind, we're just looking for 30 minutes a day, maybe 60. So it averages out over the week about 30 to 60 minutes a day. Don't hear what Frank has done and think, I have to do that. No, it's great if you do. No. If you have time to, awesome. But no, Frank, that's a really good first day. But here's the thing that I've noticed more than anything, and I don't want to keep you up too long. We're past midnight right now. So the one thing I want to say is, already in just 24 hours, I hear almost a 180 in posture.
Thank you.
The way you're speaking, I first, congratulations for being so wonderfully vulnerable and coachable. Thank you for that. And the result has shown today, because you've done this 180 on this wonderful, gentle, confident posture. From what I'm hearing, yesterday we had a lot of talking, and I think again that's a knee jerk, maybe a pastor writing his sermon type thing, lots of consideration in what's being said, and we cut that all back. We cut all the fat out and this type of thing. We got rid of the stuff that's it's important, but not important for the invite, and you can do it in the presentation when you get to see them. And you were straight to the point. You did a fantastic job on pretty much every call there, and you just were. But where you notice the posturing more than anything else is in the intentional setting of the time. You did a beautiful job, Frank. I cannot. For last night, for those of you on the call, I called Frank after that call last night to apologize, because I felt I just beat the crap out of him. And forgive me for swearing, but it's just like, it felt like I just laid into him, and I thought, I've got to call him back. He's probably on the floor crying his eyes out, because I was so brutal. But today it's the opposite. I'm kind of gushing. I'm so pleased with the way you've dealt with it. You did you dealt with the voicemail perfectly as you were coached. You dealt with the shortening of the invite and the posturing for the setting the date at a very definite time and offering the alternative. I can't fault you. You did great. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And let me say, I did end up going to the hospital today to deal with my bruised ego. that I got last night.
Well, Frank, all I can say is get over it, dude.
Well, I just want to say to everybody, Richard, you have literally, you say I've done it, but you know what? A lot of this is that, after 2 years of being in this business, and just honestly just struggling at times and just wanted to throw up my hands. And even last week, I came to last Thursday, I was just like, oh man, I've had it. Nothing's working. I called Alan Johnston up, and he just was so loving and so kind, but he was also very straight and just, just encouraged me. And I haven't had to do that very many times in the last 2 years, but it does get to you after a while. And I think people have to understand that you have to push through those moments of emotion, and don't let your emotional situations direct your entire life, because it'll ruin you. It really will ruin you. Oh, now I'm sermonizing, so I apologize. But anyway, but Richard, by the way, when I'm looking down through my list, I actually only talked to 2 people, and so my goal was, if I have to make 15 calls, I don't want to have to answer this call tonight and end up with not having someone that I'm going to share this business with. And so that was my motivation. And I often do this, but has been not as successful as it was today. But so thank you so much for your hard work on all of us. We all give you an applause.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm very passionate about this. We've kind of got two things running when we do our purge call. First of all, is teaching people how to invite in a way that everyone can do it and it's duplicatable. But secondly, applying that into a framework of structure so we get the 2 calls done and the accountability call done every day. So those things kind of run concurrently. But the point you said just a second ago is about when you were so-called sermonizing. I don't think you were. I think you were just being genuine and speaking from the heart. The one thing you said, you hit the nail on the head, is don't let your emotions ruin you, because it really will ruin you. Wouldn't it be awful if just because you've had a really bad day that one day and you had a couple of people say no or whatever, and you quit the business, and you quit that one thing that was going to save you from the job or from the debt or from whatever it was, and you watch all those other friends of yours in Ambit just keep going and build and build and build and get to a situation, you see them drive by in a nicer car or going on vacation, you're thinking, that one emotional day took me out.
Man.
Guys, stay on board. Ride, as you said, push through those difficult emotional times. And part of the way to do that is a couple of ways. Is first of all, plug into whoever your accountability, upline, crossline, friend, whoever it is in Ambit, talk to someone. Talk to someone is probably the most important thing, because it will, a problem shared is a problem halved, and that alone will do it. But over and above that is just make sure you're constantly working on personal development, because it helps you deal with these types of issues, and just helps you get through the whole thing. So, yeah.
It does. Yeah. Well, hey, I just want to say one last thing before we close off, and it's something that Jim Rohn, for you that know Jim Rohn, he's been my mentor for about 3 or 4 years now. But one of the things he said was this, and it is so, so powerful. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Just get better at what you do, because it's those critical times when you go through the hard times. Those are the real proof that you are in this business to stay. And if you do like you said and you just give up, listen, there's no good time to quit. There's never a good time to quit. So I just encourage all of you out there to really, really think about this opportunity is probably the greatest opportunity that you'll ever come across. If you don't do it, you're going to be full of regret.
Yeah, never a true word spoken. I completely agree, and especially right now. I mean, I don't know if you can feel it, Frank, but there's a buzz in the air right now with Ambit, especially down here in the DFW area. I'm sure other guys are feeling it. There's a lot of people's teams growing. There's this kind of momentum I'm feeling down here in DFW specifically, obviously with the growth as well. So, yeah, especially now, do not quit your ambit business because there's some good stuff going on. Well, Frank, you've got obviously you've worked through your invites, and I don't want to keep you up any longer, so we're not going to talk about any new invites. Do you have invites that you're happy with to talk to people tomorrow?
Oh yes, absolutely, and I'm always scheduling those. And I went through what you did yesterday, and I rewrote almost all of my invites and shortened them up, and just went for the basic stuff, and that has been a tremendous help. So yeah, I'm working on those. I've probably got at least a half a dozen or more that I'm going to be working on tomorrow, and growing the list. It's organic every day. So anyway, yeah.
Well, well, tomorrow we'll find out. We'll find out live if you get it. You made your list. We're really working. So, hey, but I love it, Frank. I truly do. Before we hit record on this thing, I love it being live. I love there being things that happen well and things that go wrong. And I'm certainly not saying that anything's going to go wrong, but I like it. The fact that you've taken the initiative and written these invites. Now you've rewritten them based on what we did yesterday. Let's now go out and see how you get on, and it'll come up on the call tomorrow in the accountability call if it went right or it went wrong, and you'll know as you're doing the invite. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
okay.
Again, thank you for a great call. It's been a little bit of a longish. It's like a longish call. It's about half an hour. But it's very worthwhile. A great day. Again, I cannot fault anything you've done today. I'm gushing a little bit. Very proud of you, Frank. You've done a fantastic job and made us all look very good using this purge call or purge system that we do. So thank you very much for that.
No, you're welcome. Enjoyed it very much. You have a good night.
All right, man. Yeah, indeed. Well, sleep. Well, it is.
Right.
It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow already. So
yeah.
Happy Tuesday to everybody.
Yeah.
But all right, Frank. Well, have a good sleep tonight, and I'll chat to you on the accountability call tomorrow, my friend.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, and you. Good night.